welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Kiki. If you're also a returning subscriber, welcome back. Oh my god, I know guys, I have been lost for a while. I have been nowhere to be seen, but it's not for any other reason but because I really needed to take some time off social media a little bit. I needed to take care of myself for a while. Also, I had the most intense trip to Kenya and I enjoyed it so much, and that is the reason why I want to create this video with you. And thank you so much for showing up. You might have stumbled upon my video because of the thumbnail, or maybe you just want to know more about Kenya. You want to know how my Kenyan trip went. You also maybe want to also hear something about the budgeting, places to go, and especially if you've watched my previous vlogs, you will understand that I have been in Kenya for 2 months. And the reason why I was in Kenya for 2 months is because initially I had planned to go to Kenya to just go and see my grandmother and also see my family, and things just didn't start so well at the beginning because I lost my residence permit at the airport. And when I lost my residence permit at the airport, I had no choice but to just continue with my journey, because either way I was just going to my birth country, which is Kenya, and I had to do all the processes and all the paperwork while I was there. So it took longer than I expected, but me having another extra month in my country, it didn't mean so much, because it was like, at least I'm home, at least I'm not in a foreign land where I don't understand anything. So yes, I had 9 weeks in Kenya. Let's start from there. As soon as I arrived in Nairobi, I noticed there's just a lot of change, and that for me is something that has happened so quick, I mean so fast, because I was in Kenya 2 years ago, and I remember the last time I was there was so much construction going on, and I didn't realize it would bring such a big impact as it did when I was there. So I could easily get lost in Nairobi, especially from the airport, because it has changed a lot and in a good way. So first of all, they have a toll road, and that for me made a difference, because also if you want to have the most gorgeous views of Nairobi, I think during sunset and also early in the morning, I think I would recommend the toll roads, because it looks really good from there, and also there's no traffic there. Also the system is a little bit different, which is also nice in terms of I've used toll roads in different countries, but the one in Nairobi is just so nice. The only thing I think they would have to change is using the payment of M-Pesa, because I feel like M-Pesa is the quickest way to use money in Kenya. And at the moment, they're not using M-Pesa on the toll roads, but that didn't bother me so much. So it was okay for me. So when I was also in Nairobi, I had planned my trip to do either the coastal side of Kenya and also stay in other parts of Kenya as well. But for me, I always feel like I don't enjoy my vacation if I don't combine it at least with either safari, or if I combine it to the coastal side of Kenya. So that involves Lamu, Malindi, Watamu, or Diani. So it will be all up to you to choose. So I did a girls trip. So this was such a beautiful curated itinerary for us, because we did bush and beach, and that started from Amboseli, then Tsavo, and then from there we also went to Mombasa, and we finished our journey in Malindi. It was such a long distance travel, which we all did it by road, but coming back, we came back with a flight. You can go and see that on the vlog. Because I had never been to Amboseli or Tsavo before, you get a different safari experience, because I will get to Masai Mara, because now I have a way to compare the two, because I've gone to Masai Mara 2 times, and now I've also gone to Amboseli. The most favorable place for me was in Tsavo, yes, and in Tsavo we went to a hotel called Salt Lake. So it's the most photographed hotel as well in Kenya, and from there you can be able to also spot a lot of elephants. I actually had a photo selfie with the elephants, but I expected to see them on the resort, but because it was getting green, it was raining, so most animals did not go to the water hole. But it was also okay, because we got to see some animals as well, like the wild animals. And when we did our safari there, I think it was a different experience. I think if you do safari with your partner, and also if you do safari with girls, you'll always get a different experience all around. But it was good. It was really, really good, especially if you have good company. It just makes everything so easy. After that, we also went to the private villa. It's called Starehe Beachfront. So Starehe Beachfront is such a luxurious villa. You can see that on my Mombasa vlog. And I have to say, when you stay there, it's really private because you have a private chef. The resort or the hotel is really on up to high standard. Also from there, you're not far away from Mombasa city center. We also did a yacht party, or as Kenyans would say, yacht party. So we did a yacht party and it was very good. I was also able to see Mombasa in a different spec, because all the time I've been to Mombasa, for some reason I never like it that much. I feel like out of all the cities I've gone to, like Mombasa has been the city that has not been growing in terms of, like, when you enter Mombasa, you just feel like so much needs to be done. It's just not improving in many ways. But also, if you're having your vacation in like a very beautiful hotel, it doesn't matter. I've stayed in several hotels in Mombasa and you'll always get a good experience. The only thing is that I don't like Mombasa city center. I don't know what I would even go to do to Mombasa city center, but that's just me. After there, we went to Billionaire Resort Malindi. Oh my god, I need a full day to talk about Billionaire Resort because it's so beautiful. Also, I have to mention that all these places, they vary, prices vary depending on the season. So yeah, depending on the season, prices will change. But when we went there, we had like a 4-bedroom apartment. You can also see on the Malindi vlog. Go ahead and watch it, and then you can also just inquire with them like how you would pay and all that. If you also maybe need somebody to create an itinerary for you or curate it for you, it's also possible. Just hit me up on my DM, that would be easier. Sadly, and Savo. But I also feel like if you're doing Ocean Beach, you need to do it in like, I would say, give yourself like 2 weeks, for example, because we did all that in like 8 days, if I'm not wrong. And I think it was just all in a rush. So some places you'll not really get to see everything because you're in a rush. And I have to say the food was so good as well. To all the places we went to in both Amboseli and Savo, the food was really good, I have to say. Like, the meat for me was mwah, so good. Except one day when it was raining and we just lost a full day. I think that was in Savo. Maybe that's why, I don't know. Like, the last day we didn't enjoy because it was raining the whole day, but we just had a good company, me and my girls, just making stories and all that. So that's what we basically did on that. So I think, having mentioned the first part of my travel, sorry guys, I'm looking down because I have to check on my laptop, like I don't want to miss anything. So I also did a staycation in Nairobi, which was at Emara Ole Sereni. I like that hotel because it's so convenient, especially when you're traveling. And because my flight was arriving like very early in the morning, I didn't feel the need of like waking up my folks, like just to come, them wasting hours and hours just to come and pick me up at the airport. It doesn't make sense, even though I had missed them so much. So I had a staycation at Emara Ole Sereni, and then I went to see my parents afterwards. And they have every month at Emara Ole Sereni, they have a party at the rooftop. I've forgotten the name, but they have a really good party with a good DJ. I think it was on a Sunday. I arrived, and the next day I went to see my parents, and then after that in the evening I was like, Mom, can I please have some 2 hours or 3 hours to just go and enjoy myself? And I did that, and it was really good. So I think, that being said, we can now jump into Nairobi because I have so much to say about Nairobi. When I arrived in Nairobi, I had to stay, like catch up with work and all that, because no matter where I go to, sometimes I also work. So that was part of that. So I had at least like a week or two before my husband joined me to Nairobi. And when he came, he was like, I want us to just experience like the good parts of Kenya. And in my head, I'm like, yeah, I will have to stay in these nice hotels in Nairobi, because you know what? I was born in Kenya, I was born in Nairobi, and I think I just wanted to try all the nice hotels that people always talk about. And it's just for me as well to like, enjoy the good things in life once in a while. There's no harm in that, right? So we stayed in a couple of 5-star hotels, and I will first have to say that we stayed in, what's the name? Tribe Hotel. Tribe Hotel is located at the best area, like the best location of Nairobi. That's also close to the United Nations area, and it's highly guarded and secure. If you also love to, being in the mall, because I know my husband is so much in love with staying close to the mall. We also experienced that in Miami. So when we agreed, like, okay, let's stay here, because I know you would love Village Market. He loves going to the gym as well, so everything is just in one whole building or one whole area. So when we stayed there, it was really good, because as soon as he arrived, we just checked in. We got actually an early check-in, because he arrived very, I went to pick him up at the airport, and it was so early in the morning, so we got an early morning check-in. It was so good. And we went for lunch at the Harvest restaurant, which is at their sister hotel, still in the same building. So we went, not same building, but basically just the same whole area, it's all at the Village Market. So we went to Harvest for food, and I think when we had food there, it was so good. And we didn't have so much to do, because after that we went to the embassy just for me to continue with my paperwork, because I had to do that either way for me to be able to come back to Belgium. Village Market is so good because they have like a lot of restaurants, countless, I mean, like so many restaurants there. And before my husband came, I had actually gone to one of the restaurants downstairs. It's called Oyster, not Oyster Bay, but Oyster at Village Market. So they also have Kizomba nights, and their drinks are really good. And I had a good time there. We used to go there like from time to time because of that, and it's also like an outdoor seating. We also had an experience at the Heroes restaurant on top of the Harvest restaurant as well. I'm trying to remember the name of the hotel, the sister hotel of Tribe, but yeah, it's just in the same building. It was really good there, honestly. I have to say, we enjoyed ourselves. And then after I did my paperwork at the embassy, because the Belgian embassy from Village Market, it's literally like 5 minutes away, so that's also another reason why I went there. And I'm so happy I did that, because I had to go to the embassy like 3 times because they did something wrong with my paperwork, and because it was not far away, I didn't have any problems with that. So we stayed there, and I have to say I liked the Tribe Hotel. Other than one thing that I didn't like about the hotel, let me start with the negative of the hotel first, because the reason why I didn't like the hotel is like you don't get so much privacy. I actually thought you would get so much privacy from that hotel. I just feel like they have so much walk-ins, which is maybe not a bad thing, especially because they have a restaurant called Jikoni at the ground floor. So when you go to the restaurant called Jiko, the food is so good. Actually, they have like ugali and some skuma wiki and beef like a pie. Oh my god, that was one of the best things that I ate there. Also their condor dish is also very good. I enjoyed that a lot. So we had there a good time, honestly, I have to say. Just that I feel like also when you want to use the swimming pool at the hotel, it becomes impossible, because there are so many walk-ins, and also the place where you're supposed to swim is where like strangers are seated there, and it's not like the strangers that are staying with you at the hotel, it's just anybody and everybody. So that for me, I felt like, okay, for me it was not that good, but other than that, I liked the Wi-Fi. If you're looking for a hotel with Wi-Fi, like if your life relies on Wi-Fi 24/7, I feel like Tribe Hotel is the best. Out of all the hotels I've stayed in Nairobi, Tribe Hotel is the best and the fastest when it comes to Wi-Fi. Ambience is 10 over 10. Everything is just, the decor, the building, the cleanliness. Oh my God, 10 over 10. What else would I also give it there? I would also have to say like the staff. Oh my god, oh my goodness, guys, like the staff is highly qualified. Like if you're asking for prosecco, they're bringing you the right glass. If you're asking for this type of food, they bring it to you. So I feel like when you stay there, you feel like, oh wow, at least for once I'm staying in a place where like my money has value. And what else did I also like about the place? They have like 2 gyms. You can choose one at the building or one also at the Village Market. Something else that I also liked about the hotel is also just they have 24/7 service. So if you want to eat 24/7, they bring the food to you. One thing, it was so funny. So this day we arrive immediately, like when Dimitri arrives in, my husband arrives in Nairobi, we stay at that hotel, and then we get a letter that evening showing like, oh, we are very privileged to like have the military training at the hotel, blah, 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 blah. So if you hear noise from this time to this time, kindly don't get out, or I don't know what that letter said. And then literally in the middle of the night, we hear like some shooting, and we were like, wow, okay, this is strange, but I've never experienced something like that. So that I felt was a little bit, I don't know. But they had to do what they had to do, so it didn't really bother us so much. We just laughed about it. I even had to include that on the vlog, but it didn't come out the way I expected it. So I hope you understand that. What?
They say, well, the hotel, they put a letter.
Yeah.
And instead of them saying we apologize for the possible noise this night,
Yeah.
they say we are honored to say that they are testing, doing military tests on our domain tonight from 10
They said we are privileged to have been chosen.
In other words, the government tells you you have to do it, so they're privileged. They're privileged to have noise the entire night at their hotel. It's such a privilege.
Baby, stop being nosy. Baby, what if they go with your head?
Allee, stop this met schieten, hè. I'm gonna shout out of the window. They have to, in Dutch, they have to stop shooting at each other.
Oh my god.
Allee, ligt een revolver neer. Kom aan, hè, mannetjes. Overeenkomen, hè. But you know, I realized I should not stand at the window because a bullet might fly in the wrong direction. It's
Exactly,
possible.
Yeah, come to the bed, baby.
But if a bullet goes, with the curtains, they kind of stop it, right? The bullet.
No, they pass through the curtain.
And the window.
Mm.
That's crazy.
Also, another thing that I didn't like at the hotel is like when anybody is asking for a taxi, when they enter at the mall, they have to pay when they're getting in and when they're getting out. So when you're staying at the hotel, we didn't get to know this until the very last end. Like you have to ask them to recharge that card for you, and then you can be able to get out of the building. But that I feel really annoys me. Like if somebody is literally just coming to pick you up, picking your guest up, like why do they have to pay for? Because you would even ask for an Uber and somebody would be like, where are you? You're like, I'm at Tribe Hotel Village Market. They're like, yeah, but you have to come out completely outside because I'm not going to pay for the entrance fee, or you're going to pay for the entrance fee. So yeah, that's a little bit, I didn't like it, I have to say. So after we stayed at Village Market, at Tribe Hotel, we actually forgot to extend our stay because we were not sure when we were supposed to go for safari. So when the hotel is always fully booked, and they have a reason why it's fully booked, because the service is so good and also the location favors them 100%. So we had to exchange from Tribe Hotel to Kempinski, and oh boy, Kempinski has never changed. Like from the time when I lived in Kenya until now, Kempinski is just Kempinski. I just felt like, first of all, when you enter, security is 10 over 10 because they have to check your bags, they have to check this. There's a dog sniffing your car. It's just all that. So when we entered at Kempinski, I felt like, oh wow, okay, but maybe the rooms will be nicer, right? So we enter inside the room. The rooms are old. Well, not old and bad, but just for a 5-star, come on, like, I think also because we'd stayed at Tribe Hotel and they had like a really fancy bathtub, like everything is just so modern. Kempinski felt a little bit of a downgrade, if I have to say. So we stayed at Kempinski, and I feel like price-wise, I think Kempinski was a little bit slightly higher than Tribe, and it just didn't make sense. Wait, no, Tribe was more expensive than Kempinski, but the difference was not much. So they're both 5 stars. So for that reason, I felt like so much could be done. And then we went to eat at their restaurant. It's an Italian restaurant. I've forgotten the name. So we went to the Italian restaurant. We had food there, but I didn't like the pasta, the cream. I think I don't know. There was just something about the food. I reacted to it, but maybe it's just me. Maybe with you, when you eat, you'll be okay. I felt like the cream was not fresh from my pasta, but anyway. We didn't stay there for so long, and we had dinner to catch up with my parents the next day, and I'm so happy I didn't choose Kempinski. We chose to go and eat at Radisson Blu. There's a hotel, the Radisson Blu Hotel at Upper Hill, yes. Oh my god, I keep on forgetting these names. Upper Hill. And there's a restaurant my friends told me, it's called Chop House. Oh my god, Kiki, you should go to Chop House. Chop House is so good. Oh my god, their food is so nice, and it's expensive, and it's this. So I go right into Google, I check, okay, Chop House menu. I'm like, okay, if I change it to euro, it's not that much. So my husband was like, okay, let's go there. So we take a taxi, we arrive at Radisson. We're like, oh my god, this hotel looks nice. Like, even Dimitri told me, why didn't we stay here? Like, this looks much nicer than Kempinski. I'm like, oh child, we only have a day and then we're going for safari, so it's not that bad. So we arrive at Chop House. Well. I had a nice presentation on my table. The food was very good. I have to say the chef does a lot for the food, but the people that are bringing the food to you on the table, I just feel like the presentation of the food is dramatic and all that, but they could not handle the service of like 6 people, because it was me, my parents, that's my mom and my dad, Dimitri, and then that's my brother and my sister. It was like 7 people. And they couldn't handle us, which was weird, because we kept on asking, can you bring this, can you bring that, can you bring this, can you bring that, can you this? And then when they're opening like the water bottles, they like there's this trick that they also do in Europe as well, and especially like a place like Greece is notorious for that. Like when somebody brings bottles of water, and when it's not a problem, you bring bottles of water, maybe because I asked for a bottle of water, but then you bring like 6 bottles of water and you open all of them and then keep on adding more. Not on my glass, but you keep on opening all of them when they're not done, when they're not yet done. And yeah, and Dimitri felt some type of way about that. And also the person that, the people that were serving us are not the same people that came for the bill. So, and the person that's coming for the bill sort of insinuates like they want a tip. And that I feel is a little bit disrespectful, because I should be able to get my bill from the person who was serving us. So that for me felt a little bit ish. I just feel for me it's a really that restaurant has a lot of potential. It could easily even become like a Michelin restaurant. And I have to say, like, the only problem with that, or the only problem we saw, is that they have a beautiful restaurant, but I don't feel like they've employed the right people for it. Or even if they do, they're, I don't know, how do I say, like, understaffed. Because I feel if I'm in such a fancy restaurant and I'm paying that much, somebody has to be allocated to my table, and they have to serve me for me. They don't have to serve so many tables that they forget their orders and all that, and the presentation is good, you know. So I would say it's just a fancy place to go to if you want to, and maybe your experience will be better than mine. So for me, that was my Chop House experience. So the next day we had to wake up early in the morning, and then we had to go for safari. I just went on Instagram and then I checked like really cool spots, and then we had to choose one of them. You guys will be able to see all of that in a vlog. So I was able to call this fancy exclusive hotel resort for safari in Kenya, and it was absolutely magical. We were the only people at the resort, the only. So if there was a guard, it was just for us. If there was a chef, it was only for us. If it was everything for us, we felt so special. I don't want to talk so much about that, because I want you guys to experience that, because that is the highlight of the trip, and it was not cheap. First of all, when you call them, they don't even have an office in Kenya. Their office is in Dubai. But now I understand why they did that, because the place is just absolutely beautiful. Imagine having a safari in a private conservancy. Like, you wake up in the morning and you open the curtains, the first thing you see is like animals there drinking water, and not so far away from you. Also, you're getting VVIP treatment. I'm talking about VVIP treatment. Oh my god, like, we left that place crying, literally crying. The service was so good, we just cried, because we never believed like these people, that was the best service in our lives. I'm not talking about Kenya, but in our lives. Like, attention to details, attention to everybody, like, we were like, oh my god, we just have to go back here. Or even if we don't, we just have to tell people, like, we paid everything from our pocket on that safari that I did with my husband, and it was just worth it, 100% worth it. It was not cheap, but it was 100% worth it, and I want you to experience it by yourself. We did safari, there was nobody there, and now I understand how it feels to go on a safari in a private conservancy versus going to a public one like Masai Mara, because we did both. So that was good. That was very, very, very good. So after we did safari, we went back to Nairobi. First we wanted to do Nairobi, Masai Mara, and then after Masai Mara we do Lamu. But we checked for flights from Masai Mara to Lamu. They didn't have flights from Masai Mara to Lamu, so we actually had to just stay in Nairobi, and then we stayed in Nairobi for a few days, and after that we packed and then went to Lamu. When we went back to Nairobi, we didn't stay in Kempinski, we just went back to the Tribe Hotel, because we felt the Tribe Hotel gave what we wanted at that very given time. So we stayed there, and I believe it was like on my birthday, and we checked. We wanted to have dinner, me, my friend, and my husband. So I checked Hemingway's hotel, and I saw like they had, I just read on their website, they had a Hemingway's Karen. And when we arrived there, I was like, yeah, but I heard you guys have a place for like sunset. Is it here? Or where, you know? Then they said, oh no, we have now another property which is not far away from here. So you have to take another Uber from here to that restaurant, and it's called Eden Hemingway's. And gosh, if you don't even have time to go to safari, I would suggest you stay at Eden Hemingway's, because they have a hotel. They have a hotel there, and they have like exactly, I think like 9 rooms if I'm not wrong, and you get to have the experience of Masai Mara. It's the building is actually close to Giraffe Manor, and also that used to be a hotel, which was also an exclusive hotel for some reason. That's what I read, and that's what they told us. And now it's part of Hemingway's. Hemingway's took over, so we had a good time there. Oh my god, it was like star just watching the stars there, because we arrived there late because we lost some time for the sunset when we arrived at the wrong Hemingway's. And then we just sat down there. We could just hear something singing, and then we were wondering what's that singing. Little did we know those were frogs. There was water there with lighting, and then frogs were just singing. And do frogs sing, or what do they do? So the frogs were just singing there. We were like, is that a CD you put there that that it's repeating itself? Is that music or something? They're like, no, those are real frogs making noise. And then I saw some really big eggs, and then I was asking them what are these, then they're like, these are ostrich eggs, and they use them as decor. You just have to go and experience that for yourself. Oh my god, oh my goodness, I still can't believe it. That's in Nairobi. Oh my god, yes, I still can't believe it. So after that, the next day we packed, and then we went to Lamu. I had planned to go to Lamu because I had never been to Lamu, and I wanted my husband to just have another experience, because in the past when he came to Kenya the first time, I took him to Diani, and I wanted him to experience something similar or different. So we did Lamu, and I did Lamu because I knew people talk so highly about it. So we booked through Majlis. And by the way, guys, this is just a tip that I'm giving you. If you're a Kenyan, don't throw away your Kenyan passport, don't throw away your Kenyan identity card, because that helped me a lot on most bookings, especially when I was doing this on my own. The thing is that there's a price for a resident, and there's also a price for a foreigner. So Dimitri kept on paying more and more and more and more, and they just paid the resident price. So that's the trick, right? We went to Lamu, and we went to Majlis Resort. If you told somebody you were in Ibiza, if you told somebody you're somewhere in Greece, they would believe it. That place is so magical. I also don't want to talk so much about it, because I want you to go and watch that vlog. When I upload it, it's going to be beautiful. Like Majlis is also another place that still, I can't believe it's Kenya. It's gorgeous. It's absolutely stunning. The views. When you arrive there's no taxis, so you use the boat. Oh my god. We also did a city tour. We also got to know and learn a little bit about the history and culture of Lamu. And now I have to say, I think different of my country, Kenya, because every time I go to Kenya, in the past, I would just go and do the regular things, meet the regular people. But now I feel like if you go and do also a little bit of like tourist stuff, you bond with your people and bond with your country in some way, okay? So that was really good. After we did Majlis, so it was time to go back to Nairobi. And remember, guys, a day before we went to Lamu, I had discussed about we also flew from Nairobi to Lamu because Lamu is so far away. So also, guys, remember I talked about Hemingways. So when we were there on the desk, I just asked that lady, hi, how much do you guys charge for your rooms? Oh my god, your hotel is so gorgeous, it looks like somewhere in Europe. They're like, yeah, we have this is the resident price, this is the whatever price. And then they give me you know, that letter. I called them when I was in Lamu, and then when I did that, I got a chance to now book. And then we arrived. Hemingway's is also not cheap. My god, it was like, I think the most expensive hotel we stayed in Nairobi, in the whole of Nairobi. The most expensive hotel we stayed in the whole of Kenya, I think, was the one in Masai Mara. So we stayed at Hemingway's. When we went back to Nairobi, we stayed at Hemingway's. The rooms are beautiful, big. They're like villas. They have Sunday brunch, guys. This is a tip for you guys. If you want to enjoy your brunch, I think it's 7,500 or 7,000, I'm not sure. They have Sunday brunch, and then there's somebody playing music, there's food, there's all that. We now, a day before all of that, on Sunday, I remember we arrived in Nairobi on Saturday, we decided to have dinner at Hemingway's at their restaurant downstairs. Oh my god, the meat was good. The meat was the best we ate in the whole of the meat. I don't know what the chef does, but that food was so good. For the first time ever, I saw Dimitri asking for the chef to come so that he could give his compliments. And wow, guys, if you also, this is another thing I realized, like in most restaurants in Kenya, they don't know how to serve like prosecco, champagne, you know, wine, blah blah blah. You have to say, can you bring me this glass? This is not for this. Can you do this? This is not for this. But it was so funny, like when we stayed in those nice hotels, they just did their job. So I feel like we enjoyed staying in hotels a lot. So for 5-star hotels, you really get 5-star experience. And I think the most favorite hotel for me would be Hemingway's. If I have to go back to Kenya, I would stay in Hemingway's. In Nairobi, I mean, because privacy, 10 over 10, class, 10 over 10. The only thing I think at Hemingway's that I didn't like was nothing, because everything was just good. We even had a taxi service for Dimitri early in the morning, and they took us to the airport with like posh cars, and whew, that felt so good, I have to say. So yeah, it was really interesting. Other than me talking about all of this, I think generally I just want to talk about my entire experience in Kenya, and let's jump into that. It's put them down because I know it's so easy to forget. So first things first, I have to say, number one, it's like people keeping time. People don't keep time, and that for me is so annoying. And I think in the past I would just live with this because I didn't, you know, it didn't get into me, because maybe I was also part of this problem. So when you tell somebody, let's meet tomorrow at 10, they don't arrive at 10. Somebody arrives at even 1 or at 3, they don't call, they don't say sorry, they don't apologize for that. And that for me is turn off, okay? My Uber experience, I have to say, I used Uber a lot. I used a lot of Uber when I was in Kenya. Like, I'm talking about a lot of Ubers. So I just use Uber all around. And I have to say, I've used Uber in so many other countries. I've used Uber in Spain, I've used Uber in Belgium, I've used Uber in America, Uber everywhere. I just order my car, it arrives. As soon as I enter the Uber, somebody is like, hi madam, is this your name? Okay, yes. They continue with their ride. If they want to talk, we talk. If they ask me, what kind of music do you like? They put it, and you go ahead with your journey. My friend, in Kenya, in Nairobi, you beg to be in an Uber. So, you order your Uber. As soon as you order your Uber, somebody is there asking, hi, they're calling, hi, where are you going to? And where are you? You're like, can you please follow the GPS? Of which I also understand why they ask you for that, because the GPS in Kenya, especially in Nairobi, doesn't work everywhere. So, you tell them where you are, and then they're like, so where are you going? Then you tell them you're going to this place. They're like, they tell you in Swahili, uko siendi. They're like, I'm not going there. So you're like, okay, it's fine. So that happened to me a lot, and it became annoying. But then at some point, I got used to it. So the first thing they ask you is where are you going. You tell them where you're going to. They come pick you up. When they pick you up, some will put whatever music they want. You know, first of all, the Ubers. The last time I was in Kenya, like when I used to take Uber, I remember there was like a protocol for having Uber cars. This time when I was there, I remember like even we ordered with Dimitri Uber X. We were laughing. He was like, "Is this Uber X?" I'm like, yes, that's Uber X in Nairobi. First of all, the cars are so tiny, and I have no problem with that, guys. The car is so tiny. Most of these drivers don't even clean their cars. They're stinking stains. Guys were laughing on my Insta stories because we kept on talking about that. Some people really, honestly, like that. Uber is your job. Why don't you just wake up in the morning, shower, be clean, and just do what you're supposed to do? So that for me was so annoying. Like the Uber negative is the highlight of my trip in Kenya. There's even one time we took an Uber in the evening, and that guy literally he kicked us out of his car, and we did nothing. He just said, "I'm not going there. I'm not going." Then he threw us on the street, and we had to tell him, "Okay, we are going." And then he was like, "Yeah, but you have to pay me full money. You have to pay me full money." And especially when you enter Uber, and then they tell you, "Can you please cancel so that you give me all this money?" Don't do that, because the minute you do that, you're actually asking them to give you more troubles. So I found that to be a little bit tricky in them, especially at the beginning, because they would say, "Hi, you know, Uber doesn't give me so much money. Can you please cancel it so that I can take you there? Then you can give me all that money on M-Pesa." So it happened a lot. Okay. Also, Ubers, they cancel trips whenever they want to. Those drivers, they do that, and there is nothing you will do. You know, I love my country so much. I love my country so much. It has so many positives. My country has so many positives. But corruption thing is the one that I don't like the most. Like, you want to get these things done. Everybody wants their cut. Everybody. You know, I didn't even know, like, it was so frustrating. You know, like, you're not giving your tip because you want to. Just people want it. Like, if you want things to get done, you just have to bribe somebody. And that for me was like, oh wow, I actually forgot where it came from. Like, this is the culture, yes, right? That was slightly annoying. But also another thing that I didn't like, and I feel like this thing should be over and done with, at least for now. I feel like when you want to get into a mall, when you want to get into a building, the first thing that happens is there's somebody, like, you know, checking up on you, like, put your bag here, put this here, you know, like the security checkpoints, which I have no problem with, to be honest, but it's just too much, way too much. Like, every time you want to go somewhere, even in a hotel, you have to put your bag here, you have to put your this here, you have to, like, I find like that security check-in everywhere, like we're like in an airport every time, it becomes so annoying. Another thing you have to know is that in Kenya, you cannot just go outside with your camera and start recording places. That you cannot do. So because you can't do that, so it's better you just go with your smartphone. And if you're a vlogger like me and you want to vlog, you just do it like in a way that nobody notices you're doing that. And you have to even ask for permissions, because in some places they don't even allow you to take pictures, selfies, even of yourself. Even in the hotel that we stayed in, a tribe hotel, they don't allow you to take selfies. Like, I remember this one time we took selfies, and then somebody comes and they're like, the security guy is like, "Hey, you cannot take pictures." I'm like, wow, but I paid to be here. So that for me is also like, and now I understand why, like, other countries are moving ahead in terms of tourism in front of us, is because we are, come on, we're living in 2020, 2023. We're sharing our world online. How are people going to see the beautiful Kenya? How are people going to see the most gorgeous Kenya if all we're doing is limiting people from seeing it? You don't allow people to take selfies, you don't allow people to take pictures. So how are we going to even, like, market our country? How are we going to do that? So yeah, that for me was a no-no. Okay, so something else that you also have to be aware of is, like, when you're in Nairobi and other places, not just in Nairobi, you don't just remove your iPhone and you start recording, or your Samsung, or whichever phone you have. You cannot do that. You have to be aware of your surrounding. There's so many thieves, there's so many con men, especially in Nairobi. I always get anxiety when I'm in Nairobi CBD, Nairobi Central. I always get anxiety. I'm telling you, I don't know why. Like when you go to Nairobi city center, don't dress up. Don't look good. Look like a beggar. Nobody is gonna steal from a beggar. Don't dress nice. Don't look nice. Don't carry a bag that is flashy. Put your phone here. I always put my phone here on the side when I'm in Nairobi. You'd rather cut my bag, go away with it. And that's something that has happened for a long time. Like when I used to live in Kenya, like I remember so many times, like people would just cut my handbag and they would run away with it. So the thieves issue is a little bit crazy. Yeah, but other than that, I have so many positives to share about Kenya, and let me start with one of it: healthy food. Even Dimitri said like my mama cooked the best food for him. He even said like the most the most healthy food he's ever eaten in his life was in Kenya. And I have to agree with that. Not because I'm from Kenya, but I have to say eggs taste different, meat tastes different. When I'm here, sometimes I don't even realize like there's a different taste between beef and chicken and all that. Like in Kenya is when you taste and you're like, chicken, kienyeji, okay? So that I love. Food is good. I have to say also safari experience is something you have to do at least once in your lifetime, because it changes your mindset. You get to connect with nature. It's also a place where you turn off, shut down, and just see animals, see people, you know, like people who have the same mindset with you. And the people that I'm talking about is you and the person that you're there with, okay? It's time for you to connect with your husband when you're there. It's time for you to connect with whoever you're going there with, because you'll just have, sometimes you'll also have like the bonfires at night where they just put fire, you sit outside, talk, have a drink. So it's a really nice place to be far away from the city, and I love that. Another thing I like about Nairobi especially, it's, let's talk about the nightlife. I don't think you can ever change that or get another experience better than that than in Nairobi. So for me, the nightlife experience was so good, and I know my way out. I know whether this works, this doesn't work. But this time when I was there, I'm forgetting about some things, but I'm also learning more as well, because when you're out, things change. Things do change, and I feel like for the most part, Nairobi is also changing for the better. For example, the roads are so good. There's also high development, and I'm talking about tall buildings that I didn't live. I mean, so many skyscrapers in Nairobi. For example, we're going to have GTC, and I will have a vlog when I went to GTC Mall. It's going to be the most gorgeous mall, plus also the Marriott Hotel will be there. Guys, Marriott. Damn. So they also have apartments there. So if you're also looking into investing in Kenya, especially in Nairobi, hit me up, because I have some good news about so many things that I figured out when I was there, and I'm also interested in doing some of the things. And who knows, we might have the same mindset, and you never know. Another thing I like about Kenya is M-Pesa. M-Pesa just makes life easy. Come on. These are the countries that have not even catch up with us. Like, we need M-Pesa here too. Because I feel like with M-Pesa, I didn't even touch a lot of cash when I was in Kenya. I think very few moments I had to have cash with me, but I didn't even have cash most of the time. It's just M-Pesa. I was just running around. When I have my phone, I'm okay, I'm good. I don't even need data. I just go anywhere and I do transactions wherever I am. I also like the weather, and I also like the fact that my family is there. So for me, that makes everything so easy. And also keep in mind, when you're traveling to Kenya, check your flights in advance, because for me, I did it like so last minute, because the minute like I got a phone call from my mother and my father telling me like I need to go see my grandma, she's not feeling well, I immediately booked a ticket. And this was the first time for me to experience Qatar Airways business class. It was so good. So my flight from Belgium to Doha was like their newest plane, and then from Doha to Nairobi I had the Q suite. Oh my god, a Q suite is like so private, so luxurious. I mean, the service of Qatar Airways is like 10 over 10. You can never beat anything out of that, because it was so good. And I just feel like the way they pay attention to details, they pay attention to their clientele. So for me, would I ever use Qatar Airways again? Yes, I would. Coming back, I also used Qatar Airways business class. And the thing that I noticed, like if you book business class, it's so good, because like when I called them and I told them hi, I would like to put my flight on hold, because I lost my residence permit and I don't know when I'm going to get it back. They just told me, okay, no problem, no problem, no worries, don't worry about that. So they had no problem with that, and they kept it on hold until I called them and I told them, now I have my visa, can I come back? They were like, okay, sure, no problem. I will also talk about my visa situation on another video, so don't worry about that. We'll tap into that some other day. So yes, that's what happened, and I have to say Qatar Airways is one of the best flights around for sure. Nairobi, Mombasa, Lamu, Masai Mara, Tsavo, Amboseli. I also went to Laikipia. So those were the places that I enjoyed so much on this trip, and I hope to be back. Honestly, I really hope to be back. If I forgot anything, I will just be mentioning them on my comment section, or I will also be sharing them on my other videos if I have time. So for me, it was good. Dimitri said he enjoyed this trip in Kenya because we got to share time and memories with my family. We also did that by ourselves as well. So I feel if you also want to plan to go to Kenya, you need to have a budget. And when you're having a budget, you should first know where you're going to or the activities that you want to do. For example, I knew for myself, beach has to be there, safari has to be there, and also Nairobi because that's where my family is. So if you come from other places, or if you're also not a Kenyan, you need to locate a budget, and also keep it in mind, like Nairobi is not as cheap as many people claim. Not just Nairobi. I have to say that Nairobi or your Kenya trip can be affordable and can also be expensive. So for us, when we did this trip, we did like a luxury part of it. But if you want to do a normal Kenyan trip, you can also do that. But I feel like the most hidden gems are hidden where the money is, okay? Like where you spend is where you get the most hidden gems in Kenya. So you need to allocate yourself a budget. You also need to have a travel itinerary, because for me, everywhere I go to, I always have like some notes here on my phone, reminders, and I also plan everything thoroughly. I also go to other platforms and check where people have been going, what they've been eating. I also confirm it with my friends, because if you don't also watch out, you will run your money very quickly, because you wake up in the morning and then you're like, okay, let me go here, let me go there, let me, you know. And also if you're a Kenyan like me, you also understand, like you can call your friends in advance and tell them, hi, I'm coming to Kenya, can we meet on this day? They will fail you. So don't just go 100% with plans from friends. Plan things for yourself. Enjoy your trip by yourself or with your family, or whichever way you're planning it. Also keep in mind, flights from Nairobi to Masai Mara are not cheap as well, so book that in advance. When you're booking your safari trip, book it in advance. If you don't book your safari trip in advance, it's going to be super hella expensive. Also check availability of places you're supposed to go to. And now Kenya has improved as well, because when you're going to restaurants, you also have to book in advance to those posh and nice restaurants. I have to say, food is good, nightlife is good, just that you have to be very careful as well. Also, when you're in Nairobi, make sure you stay in a place where when you're taking Uber, it's not going to be expensive. Because if you stay outside city center, you're going to spend so much on Uber, so much on traffic, so you're just going to miss out a lot. And that's the reason why also when I'm in Kenya, I try and stay at least places where I know, like with Uber, I will just be able to arrive in places, and I know my husband so well, he will get so annoyed. So that's why I choose places where I know if it's Uber, it's just going to be 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, you know. That saves a lot of time and money. So also when you're staying in Nairobi or in Kenya generally, just check your location. Don't just think like, oh, this hotel is beautiful, this restaurant is nice, but then check the surrounding, because it could look beautiful on the inside, but then on the outside maybe the area is not what you really think. And I think that also applies for the most part of the world as well. So that feels good. Also, I think you're going to like Kenyans. We're very friendly people. We always talk to strangers. So if you're not a Kenyan, you'll feel 100% comfortable talking to anybody and everybody. Just make sure whoever you're changing your information to or exchanging information to is somebody that you trust. Also, keep in mind, taxi drivers can take advantage of you. I remember, like, I had several good taxi drivers from Uber. I would like their service at the beginning, and then I tell them, you know what, I like you. Why don't you just I call you every time I need an Uber so that I pay you directly. The thing is that they keep on disappointing you, and that hurts me so much. You discuss with somebody, okay, come and pick me up tomorrow at this day at this time. First of all, they get late. When they get late, then you ask them, how much are you going to charge me? They charge you even 5 times the price that they see on Uber. Maybe you know why. They realize you don't live in Kenya. They just want to take advantage of you. Another trick that I have to give you guys, when you're in Kenya, when you're talking to somebody on Uber, when immediately they call you, pretend that you don't understand Swahili or you don't speak Swahili. So that I realized it works, because when my husband left, I had a lot of trouble, and I'm happy I also got to experience a bad experience with him on the Uber, because the Uber guy kicked us out in a gas station because he said, hey, I'm not going there, I have no fuel. Dimitri even asked him, are you okay in your head? Like, I'll show you guys that on my vlog, but keep in mind, like, when all of this is happening, especially with Uber, like, just don't have high expectations, period. I'm telling you. So lower your expectations as well with many things, and I think you will enjoy your trip. Also, I hope you have the best fun, and the tropical weather will just change everything for you. So enjoy your happy trip, and in case you have any questions, kindly write me on Instagram. My name is Chinese Kiki on Instagram. Also, you can write me a message, and also follow me on TikTok, and also here on YouTube. Share this video with your friends, and I hope to see you on the next one. Kindly subscribe, and see ya.